What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be diagnosing a 2001 BMW 325i 2.5 liter engine. Customer complaints: check engine lights on, needs to pass smog, and there's something going on with the right front headlamp or headlamp housing. I don't know. Didn't really look at it just yet. Backstory on this car: this car has been to the shop previously. We were going after a P0440 code, and the shop determined it needed a purge solenoid. I spoke to the technician who worked on it the first time, and basically his test showed that everything was working. Both the purge and the vent solenoid were working. So I guess based on Identifix and the most common replaced part, he went ahead and replaced the purge solenoid, even though it wasn't stuck open and it wasn't sticking closed. So, you know, well, it might be a code that came right back, who knows. So we're going to go ahead and hook up the scan tool. We're going to pull the codes. Hopefully it's different. But if it's the same, then we'll go ahead and retest everything. Maybe it's a faulty part, maybe he was right. Sometimes the shop tends to use cheap parts, so I mean, it is what it is in that respect. So let me get the scan tool hooked up, and then I'll bring it back once I get the codes pulled, and then we'll see where we have to go from there. Okay, so we went ahead and pulled the code, and it does look to be a different code. We have an 8F, and the description is tank leakage diagnosis with diagnostic module tank leakage. Yeah, it's a lot of info right there. A whole lot of nothing. So just doing some Google searching. 8F isn't in all data. 8F isn't in Identifix, so we went ahead and cross-referenced it right here, and we got an 8F, and it looks like it's a P0440 or 1476. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I looked those up really quick, and we look up a 440 evap purge system flow check. So just a little bit. See tank right there, tank ventilation blockage or blocked line. So this has me to believe that the purge valve may have been bad, but there may be a restriction in the line somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more reading on this just to make sure that that's the correct code that we're getting, because I am seeing a 1476 and a 440. So I just want to do some digging to make sure that that is correct. And if that is correct, then I'll just make sure that it is a plug line in the purge solenoid section, and I can disconnect it and backflow some of the some air through it and see if they flow. Blockage line can also mean the purge valve is not opening as well, so could be a defective part. So let me do some reading just to confirm the 440 is the actual code for an 8F, just because 8F is, I don't know why they don't put a P code in the description so we can kind of reference what it is, because unless you're using BMW software, 8F is kind of irrelevant to me. And even just a general description of tank leakage diagnosis, that can be a couple different things. It could be a leak, it could be that the fact that the purge valve, if it doesn't have a leak detection pump and it runs off the purge valve, and the purge valve isn't open when it's commanded to, yes, you're not going to see vacuum in the tank, and it's going to assume that there's a major leak. So yeah, you gotta love BMWs. So let me go and do some research on this, and let me figure out what exactly it is, and I'll come right back to you guys. Okay, so I have the air box out. Air box just kind of sits right here. It's just two 10mm bolts here, flat head on this band clamp, and it just comes right off. Just disconnect the master airflow connector and it's good to go. And here is the purge solenoid that we replaced. I don't know the brand of it. I didn't bother to go ask. But first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I am going to pull her out. I'm going to bench test this. And then I'm going to also put smoke into each one of these lines individually. See if there's any leak. See if this one might be disconnected from where it goes to. I believe this one is the one that goes to the tank. I don't think that's going to be disconnected. But we'll see if there's any leaks in the line anywhere. And then what we'll go ahead and do is we'll check for a restriction. We'll put a little bit of shop air through here, and as well as that one. If this is the one going to the intake, it should flow pretty free. And this one may give me a little resistance from the canister, but it shouldn't have that much. And then we'll go from there. After this one, if this one looks like it's okay, then we'll see if we can manually activate it, make sure it's getting the signal from the ECU. If that's good, then we'll check the vent solenoid or the link detection pump, which is behind the inner fender well on the right rear, I believe. So let me go ahead and set all this stuff up, and then we'll see how it goes as far as any leaks go. So we're going to go ahead and test the purge solenoid first, so I'll show you exactly how I'm going to go ahead and do that. So if you look at the connector itself, it's just two metal spade connectors, flat spades. So we can go ahead and use the power probe and get two females, one power, one ground. Go ahead and put that in there. Let's go ahead and put that in there, and we can initially it's stuck there, huh? Okay. What brand is this? So there was an initial stick. I don't know if that's just from a delay or if it was actually stuck. That's actually interesting. It is moving though. You can't hear it. So run it a couple times. It seems to be consistent. So I don't like the fact that it's stuck. Maybe I'll run this part number and see what manufacturer this is. But that's it for bench testing the purge solenoid. That's really all these take. So these are just on and off. Obviously the computer can control how much voltage is going towards it. So it can open 100%, it can open 50%, 25%. All makes, all models are going to be different. But just bench testing it, we're going to throw in ground. Put ground on there. This is coming off the ground section of the power probe. And then my tip, which is the yellow one, is sending at this time 12 volts. And you can see we have continuity. That's why my thing is lighting up green. And you just put the plus on there. And it's opening and closing. You blow through it. While it's off, it should be closed. It shouldn't have any air go through it. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up the smoke machine, and then we're going to see if there's any leaks in this system. So I have the smoke machine hooked up, and it's at the intake right now. You can't see the smoke machine itself. It's off camera. I'll let you see what we're running. There it is right there. Ain't nothing special about it. So if you've never run a smoke machine, I'll just basically go over really quick. So it's basically like a large vape machine. So you got fluid inside the tank, you have a wick in there, and you have a heating element. 12 volts goes through the heating element, heats up basically baby oil or whatever fluid is in there that it uses. A lot of times it is just baby oil, and it produces smoke. So when I turn it on, and this particular one uses shop air pressure to create the flow. Others do have an internal pump, but this one does not have that. So when you turn it on, make sure we're on, and you wait a little bit. And what it does is, this might be easy to pick up on camera. I don't know if the camera's going to see that or not. But there's smoke coming out of it. So we'll go ahead and put that in the intake side of it, and I can guarantee you I'm going to find a leak. I have the intake section blocked off so it doesn't come out of the intake boot. And already I can see smoke. So now, is that the problem that's causing the code? It could be. It's definitely a possibility, and it looks like, Looks like it's coming from the intake boot itself. Looks like there might be a crack right here. Oh man, that would suck, wouldn't it? That's all it was. But I'm not convinced that that's all it is. Alright, that kind of sucks. It looks like it might be deeper inside, and it sucks because this intake itself isn't the one where you can see down through it. It's a solid one, so yeah. Looks like I'm gonna have to pull off that intake boot. Oh, for sure, this intake boot's broken. Oh yeah, it's bad. Okay, well, let me go ahead and smoke the rear section of it, which would be the tank and the canister and all that good jazz. Let's see if there's any leaks going that way, and we'll go from there. So I can for sure tell you that this line doesn't have a blockage. That's for sure. The one going into the intake is flowing pretty smooth. Yeah, that intake air boot is about done. I see a couple different cracks in it, and what sucks is you gotta fix one and re-smoke it and see if there's any other leaks anywhere else within the intake, because obviously the smoke's gonna go and take the path of the least resistance, which is what that is right now. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this off for now, and then I'll rehook up everything, and then we'll smoke the rear section. And I'm probably gonna move where the camera's at, just so we can check in the back. I'm gonna lift the car up and we can see if there's any leaks there. And yeah, we'll have to just confirm that that section is good. So this is what I ended up doing. So I pulled the fitting off of the line that goes to the canister, and this is just, you know, slides out, just because you can't put this and shove it in that plastic fitting. It'll just crack it and damage it. So pull that out. We put it in directly towards the rubber hose, and let's go back and show you that it is working. So just to show you that it's getting smoke back there, we got some smoke coming out the gas tank. So I'll reset everything up, get the camera in a fixed position, and then we'll check the canister side, and we'll try and close the vent valve manually, or see if the computer will let me do it, and we'll see if there's any leaks. So I did look at the wire diagram. We can activate that manually. So I got the power probe back out, and basically what happens on this one is you do have the leak detection pump and the vent solenoid all in one here. You got one hot wire coming in. There's also actually a sensor in here too, I believe, because you got 4 wires. You got one hot coming in, you got the ground for the vent, you got the ground for the pump, and then you have the, I believe that's going to be your pressure sensor probably. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect it. I'm going to verify the red and the white has power coming in. That should be feeding a couple other different sensors as well, off the main relay. So as long as it's hot, then basically all I have to do is back probe the vent solenoid control, and then using the ground and an alligator clip on the ground and a back probe, I can close that valve as long as I need, run smoke through it again, and see if there's any other leaks. Because so far we've already confirmed that the intake boot is broken, but why it's not throwing a separate code for that, you know, hey, whatever, I don't know. So we're going to tackle, hopefully that's not all it was, but we're going to tackle this. We're going to close it, and we're going to smoke it again, and we're going to see what's going on. So on camera, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this just so you can see what I'm doing. Connectors on the side, so push that, it comes out. Okay, and we want to see the red and the white. It has to have power with the key on. Engine key is on, engine is off right now. So I'm going to back probe it. This thing is shining at me in my face. Yeah, this is it's kind of hard to record in this area. So let's go ahead and back probe this, and it should be 12 volts. And we are at 11.98, so that's good, which means we're getting power to all three devices, so that's a good sign. So now let's go ahead and do the, I believe it was the black and the green. Let me run over there and double check. Okay, yeah, so it was the black and the green. So we're gonna go ahead and back probe that, put that back in, and when I hit it with the ground, where'd my thing go? Here it is. We should get an audible click. So let's see if it does. Damn it, that's not gonna work. Okay, we can't actually send ground. So let's just see if it's working first. Okay, so we do have ground. So that's letting me know that I have it on the right circuit. So let's go ahead and put this. Now it's closed. I don't know if you heard that. There you go. And we're gonna turn the smoke machine on and see what happens. All right, the smoke machine is on. We're on full flow. And we wait and see. Now if any smoke comes out, right now the system should be sealed, with the exception of the purge solenoid, but that's on the intake side because we're smoking it from the canister side, so it should be sealed. This will also let me know if my gas cap is leaking as well, because once the vent solenoid is open, it's not going to really build up pressure. So at this point we can find maybe fuel pump seal around the ring is leaking. I've seen those leak before. Could be just about anything at this point. And if we have nothing that is leaking, then we're gonna have to go from there and just kind of maybe recommend that part since we've already changed the purge. For Identifix and Mitchell, there's not really any test procedures for this part, so I don't know if there's any other tests I can run as far as, you know, activating the pump and then watching the pressure in the gas tank or on that sensor, wherever the sensor is at, go negative, which would be vacuum. I don't think there is one. That's one problem with these particular cars, is there's not a lot of stuff on there as far as Identifix and test procedures for Mitchell or even all data. That's why it can be tricky to troubleshoot them if you don't have the right stuff. But as of right now, I'm not seeing any leaks. I can probably take off all these lines and backfeed them and just blow everything out. Let me check the gas cap. And the gas cap looks like it's sealed, so that's fine. Yeah, I could probably clean all the lines, just make sure there's no restriction in any of them, and maybe see, when I get a car that I test and it tests fine, that doesn't mean that the part that I'm testing is good. It could be an intermittent problem. It's just working right now. So usually in that case, I kind of either let it go. Problem is there's no freeze frame for me to see on these cars to see when it's happening to duplicate the problem. I'll usually leave it up to the customer. Say, look, you know, these two items in your car that could be sticking, one of them or both is hanging open or hanging closed. We give you the option to replace them. And if they say, sorry about that, if they say go ahead, then we'll throw them in, clear the codes. We'll ourselves send a driver to go try and clear the monitors. As long as we're able to clear the monitors, then she's going to pass smog. I did have a few cars that come in that we cleared all the monitors except for the evap one, and they were actually able to pass the smog. So maybe California has changed its procedures as far as what monitors have to be complete before they can smog it. If memory serves me correct, you had to have them all clear. But maybe the evap one, not so much anymore. I don't know. I don't really follow what they changed as far as smog goes. I don't really do smog, so. But as of right now, I'm sure I can open it, and we should be getting smoke to come out of it. Let's see if we're still on. We're not on anymore. Okay, turn it back on. And I'm gonna see if you do that. Yeah, like that. Okay, so smoke's coming out. Let's close this again. And it should stop. Yeah, vent's working. Let me see if there's any way I can test the sensor part, or even the leak detection pump itself. Let me see if I can manually run the pump, see if I can audibly hear the pump if it is an actual motor, and then if it doesn't turn on, like I said, it has power already to it, it just needs to be grounded. So let me go and look which wire it is, and let me try that. So it is the brown and the blue wire. So for starters, I have it back probed. We should have 12 volts here, which we do. So I am connected. Now, just want to apply ground, see what it does. And nothing. Okay, well, let's try this way. Well, I think I might have found the problem. So the diagram shows that you have a solenoid. You have an M with a circle, which means a motor. So if it has a motor, it should make some sort of audible noises. Obviously, it's not going to be very big, but generally speaking, there should be a motor in here that's spinning, and there should be like a poppet valve in there. Something that I'm assuming it's going to pull vacuum. I don't hear it. So again, we have power there. So I am connected, nice and ground. And we got nothing. So unless this is very quiet. Actually, I do hear it. Okay. Okay, so it does turn on. So what we can do now is disconnect it and see if it's actually pulling a vacuum or however it works. We'll see once we get it off. It looks like, oh damn, looks like I dropped the whole thing to just test it. At least get it far enough to get these two lines off. Okay, I'll disconnect these two bolts and we'll angle it down and I'll get it out and we'll test it on camera. Alright, so we got the leak detection pump out. I'm going to ground it, and this may not be the most accurate way of going in this test, especially if it's pulling like very low vacuum, but I should be able to feel something on my hands as far as a suction or a pressure for that matter. So you got it running. I don't know if you can hear it. So I don't see anything happening. I don't feel anything. Looks like there's a port right there. Let me get a vacuum gauge and let me see if that's pulling or pushing anything out. So I have both ports blocked off. I have a vacuum gauge running through here. It's not the best, but it'll at least let me know if something is going on, either pressure or vacuum. So run the pump. It is working. And nothing. Let's turn it off. Let's see. And let's unplug it. Yeah, it didn't move at all. Plug it back in. Turn it on again. Ah, shit. Turn it on again. Alright. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that leak detection pump, either the whatever it does, whether it creates vacuum or pressure, has failed. Sometimes there's like a diaphragm in there. I've seen check valves in them. So whatever it is, that's not working. And to confirm that, I'm going to recommend it. I'm going to recommend the intake boot. And then when I get the new one in, I'm going to test it. I'm going to see exactly what it does, because for future reference, that's going to be key to quick shot in these tests to know, okay, it creates vacuum. The leak detection pump should be spinning and be making this amount of noise, or it'll be spinning this speed and I should be able to hear it a lot louder. I do like to test new parts just so I know for next time how it works, so I can test it a lot better. I've never replaced and tested these on these particular cars. A lot of times the codes do point to either gas cap or purge solenoid. Very rarely do I have a canister that actually leaks because it's cracked, or it leaks from the seams or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and recommend this, and then once we get approval and I get the new part, we'll test the part, see how it functions, and I'll do that on camera. And then we'll replace everything, clear the codes, have somebody go drive it. Well, I'll road test it first, and then we'll see if we can get these monitors cleared. So I remember that we did have to check the right front headlight. So I don't know if you can see that. Low beam, high beam, that's the right side. Left side, high beam, low beam. So yeah, not entirely sure what the complaint is here. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see any water in there. So just update, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm not, like I said, I don't know what her complaint is to be exact. When I go in there and submit the paperwork, I'll ask, but as of right now, the headlight's fine.